the damage right off the bottom. Angel, and then her little arm. There was no missing something. His tail pushed it up because some little puppy or somebody chewed on it. So I'm sure many of you all have been down this road where you're at a sale. I just happened to be at an auction and you see vintage. And you see vintage, you're like, oh, that's resellable, or I collect that, or, you know, and then you start digging in the box at the auction like I did, and you're like, crap. There's no easy word to say it. It's broken. But for me, one of the pieces was worth money. And you're like, oh, man. So being who I am, or who we are on this channel, we are fixer people. So I hate to see things go to the garbage if you can try to save it. So started bidding on the box and then realized that people saw the brokenness too and they didn't really care about it. So, I'm going to share with you in this video how I'm going to fix the broken. Will it be as good as the new? Probably not. But it won't go to the dump. It won't go to the landfill. You know, I talk about perfectly perfect all the time, especially when it comes to antique and vintage and secondhand finds. Yeah, they're not perfect. They've got their bumps and their bruises and their chipped paint and their dents. But all we can do is try to make them look as the best as they can. So I'm going to show you some products that I'm going to use. I'm going to show you some techniques I'm going to use. Not one of my regular videos where I just paint things over by any means. But, you know, maybe you already know these tricks, or maybe I'm helping you out on these tricks, one or the other. Let's save these pieces from the landfill. They've lived this long. And I'm pretty sure probably the box that I had, it happened during the auction. This just happened to be a hoarder's house, a situation where it was just bring out a box, throw it on the ground. And this box, unfortunately, wasn't wrapped. So, but luckily, I took the chance that I could fix the one piece, and then God wink moment that the little pieces to fix the other pieces that I have today were there, so I'm able to glue those back together. But I'm going to show you the amazing glue that I use. These are some of the products that I will recommend over and over again. If you are a lover of secondhand finds and you want to save something that you fell in love with at a sale, today's products, I'm not sponsored, y'all. They're just stuff that I use. So I'm just going to get right to it and show you what's inside my box. It's not a huge box. So first of all, I'm like, oh my gosh, the little pixie elf. And you can see the damage right off the bottom. So 1956, this thing has lived that long. And then we have this little angel, this cute little Lefton angel. And then her little arm was broken off. But luckily in the box was the pieces. So there's her arm. There's the rest of his musical note. There's his little end to his fiddle. Fiddle? Sure, it's a fiddle. So we have that. So at least we have the pieces. Now for Santa Claus, the whole Howard Santa Claus, there was nope. I was not lucky enough to have that piece to be able to glue on. And there is some chippy paint. You can see like somebody taped it. Unfortunately back then they did not really put a finish to protect the paint. So just it coming, you know, luckily that hides most of it, so I'm not worried. And I think it's character. So I'm not going to try to do like this total restoration that I am not a pro on. But I think because this is in the front, and if this piece is selling for $450 if it was in mint condition. As you see, it is not. So, but I'm going to test out a product that I've never used today to see if I can fill in that hole. I thought about air dry clay, but I wasn't sure if the color or the hardness was going to be enough. So I did this as epoxy sculpt clay, and this is supposed to be a natural color because I thought there's white and natural, and I thought that would match a little bit better. But it had to be either you could heat it up in the microwave for 30 seconds or heat it up in hot water for 5 to 10 minutes. So I don't know how hot the water would stay though. So I'm thinking I'm going to go test out the microwave for the 30 seconds because I feel like the water is going to cool off within 5 to 10 minutes. My personal opinion. Put them in the microwave. And it said 30 seconds. So there we go. Okay, now I need to get equal parts. Not sure how you just grab equal parts. It's not going to take very much. I think that's pretty good. And then we're just going to knead it together. So this is supposed to be the natural color one. And if it starts to stick to your gloves, they said just use a little bit of, this is supposed to be good for pools, so we're just going to keep on mixing it. The only thing with this is it's a 24-hour cure time, so it's going to take 24 hours for this to completely harden. So one of the first projects I wanted to work on today, so that tomorrow it would be done. I don't mind the color too much. I'm glad that it's not white. I might need my glasses to be able to tell if it's kneaded together or not though. I don't know, that looks pretty good. Keeps kind of sticking to my fingers, so I'll just put some more water on it. I really don't think I need as much as that is on there. Okay, we're just going to start working it. They do give you a little sculpting tool. It's nice that it's not like an instant because you have some time to play and work with it. And of course it's right on that eyebrow area. I definitely don't need all of that. Better to have mixed up not enough than to, or better to have mixed up too much than not enough. Okay, definitely you're going to have to use the water, that's for sure. I guess you would need that. That water is coming in handy sitting next to me. Okay, this is what I came up with. I tried to do a little bit of the eyebrow sticking out. Tried to smooth it as much as I can. But the more I try to take away from that top, but I think I can sand that. So, fingers crossed. I think the color's okay. So yeah. I'm going to set it off to the side and let it dry for the 24 hours. Here is my must-have if you are, anybody should have this. Star Bond Quick Glue, CA glue, a dryer. Comes in two different forms, the accelerator which dries it. My spray can, my aerosol is out right now, so I have a little pump can. Should get it primed before I'm ready there. And so we are going to glue her little arm back on. She does have other damage, but the main purpose is, hello, her arm. So, no. Okay. So what you do, so you get a little bit of glue on both pieces. Now we're going to match her little arm up as best as we can. She's very awkward. It's a weird angle. Okay, I got her. Spray the accelerator. The accelerator dries in 15 seconds. Yes, it doesn't make magically the crack disappear, but it does glue it on. So if you have a family heirloom, you want to sell a piece that is as is, this stuff is amazing, because you all know how hard it is to get super glue to adhere. So let's work on this little guy. So first let me figure out which way this little piece goes. Okay, so it goes that way. So I'm going to do a little dab of the glue. Another dab on the other side. A little bit of this goes a long way. These bottles last me like a year, if not more. This is where it would be nice to have 2 sets of hands if you have them. If you don't, just work with what you got. Remember the days of trying to get that super glue to, to hold for you? Is it perfect? No. Is it thrown in the trash? No. But he's still cute. Now that I have him glued, I'll work on cleaning him up a bit. Unfortunately, he just wasn't wrapped up in a box. And so all those little delicate parts. He was a little dirty though. He was. And then I can take the sandpaper and sand it. I had no idea it was this dirty, actually. I thought it was just a patina. I guess it's not a patina. Dirt is a patina on some things. So after a little touch up with a little bit of white paint, just a little, so that the crack isn't as noticeable. And then here, I'm just going to do a little bit of the gold leaf rub and buff. Just right there where that is. I mean, it's not perfect. The same thing, I did a little white, rubbed it in with my finger just so you don't necessarily see the crack. And they are as is. They were broken, so. And then we'll do another little of that clear spray, and then a little clear spray on her arm fix. That's better than being broken off.
Not a master repair by any means, but it's working.
So let's see how she did. Sat overnight. Oh my gosh. Is it perfect? No, but it's not a hole anymore. You can really see it in the inside, but it really does blend on the outside for some reason. So I'm going to go ahead and sand it. I'm going to start off with some, see if I can get it as smooth as I possibly can. I got some 80 grit here. And then this is 400 grit. It's pretty hard. Just going to take a cleaning rag because I really hadn't cleaned it off too much. Wow, I am really impressed. So I'll just try to get the rest of the pieces clean, see how they clean up. Down the bottom. The cookie's intact though, and I'm going to do a little shot. I'm not going to try to paint it. I don't have any paint that's going to match up with that, but I am going to do a little shot to make it shiny of this flawless lacquer that I got to do some unfinished ceramics that I bought. I haven't even done the ceramics yet, but I've used this a lot, and it's glossy, so it is glossy. So let's play it safe and put it in the inside first. And then there you go. One of the fixes that I'm going to do today is I have this putty tat, and I love it. I don't care for the pumpkin. I wanted to paint that over, but I love the cat. I love its eyes. But he's missing something. His tail, he doesn't have a tail. So I think it feels like it's like I'm able to go in there and I might be able to put some wire and make him a tail out of air dry clay. I'm hoping so because he needs a tail. First off, I'm going to start with some wire. I'm not even sure how much wire I need, but I'll figure it out. So up close and personal with this poor little kitty cat. Oh, yep, I'm going to be able to put it in there. And then I'm kind of going to get an idea of how I want the cat's tail to lay before yeah, it doesn't have to be like terribly long. And then I think that would be good. But I'm going to put a piece of tape on there so I know where not to put the air dry clay. Probably going to be one of those projects that it takes a while for this clay to dry also. So I'm going to get some out. And I'm going to start working with it. Because he's got quite chunky legs, so I'm going to try to match it up. It's easier if you kind of get it warm so you can start working with it. Of course I can't find my rolling pin when I want it, so I'm going to use my brayer to start rolling this out. And then I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it on the wire. Hard because we're going to have that pointy end. That's okay. I think that's a good thickness for his tail. 2. So I'm going to start bending because I'm going to have to remold it anyway. Might as well get up close and personal and of course I put tape on it now, it doesn't want to go in. Shoot. There we go. Okay. At least I have it in. There we go. Actually, I'm getting too wet my hands so I can sculpt it a little bit more because air dry clay dries out really fast. So I'll just keep smoothing it down until I get it, and adding more to it until I get it to where I need it to be. So I am using a little bit of a sculpting tool to kind of remove some of it where it's too thick. And then just trying to smooth out the lumps as much as I can. Okay, there's my kitty's tail. I can only hope that it doesn't start to lean. And I know it's not glued on, like right here. So I'm gonna actually set it in front of a fan to help it dry. I know that sometimes air dry clay will crack and stuff, so we'll see what happens. So it's been sitting for quite a few hours, but I thought, why it's still, I mean, it's dry, but not completely dry yet. I'm going to go in and do a little bit of sanding to make sure that I can get it a little bit smoother, take a little more of the product off there where it's a little bit bumpy. I don't want to do it while it's like so fragile, dry, to take the chance of breaking it. So I just lifted it up a little bit, put some CA glue underneath it. Thought I had the camera on. Of course I did. I had to wait for it to be dry to be able to do that. Moisture wouldn't probably allow it, the glue to really stick. Okay, I need to seal this in. This is as good. I tried. I mean, it's kind of matches the unevenness, and so I'm just going to seal it in with shellac. So when I go to paint it. So now it's time to paint my little kitty up. This dried overnight is what I wanted it to do, so to make sure that that's all good and dry. And I'm just doing little black dress and DIY paint to paint his tail. Surprisingly, there's not a ton of cracking, maybe because I was trying to sculpt it. There's that. And I am going to go, because I don't think my blacks are going to match. I'll probably distress it because that's what I loved about the piece, is how distressed the kitty cat was. But, okay, now that I have my kitty painted black, I'm going to go ahead and wet distress it first before painting the pumpkin, because I don't want the black to smear. You know, black does that. So I'm going to go ahead and whatever comes off, comes off. Okay, my pumpkin, I'm going to go ahead and use Sweater Weather by Milan. I wanted to keep that. I'm more of a orange pumpkin person, or white, but the orange pumpkin really shows the black cat off well. So now I need to seal my black paint in before finishing this up. So I'm just going to use some of the Crayon Matte Clear Coat. Now this is always scary when sometimes when you do the clear, it makes it white chalky, but I'm never worried because I'm always going to finish it up with something. So especially on the black. So I'm just going to do some aging wax. And hopefully that'll age that little tail to match the little body. And it takes away that white chalkiness. And I am going to go ahead and go right onto the pumpkin and give that some age also. Have it all on. We'll just take a dry one and then just wipe off the excess. You know, Chris, sometimes he's a man of little words, but we have this general store paper cutter, that it's just the paper cutter. It's not on a base. It doesn't have any paper. It doesn't have a dowel rod. So he went out to our stash and out in a barn and looked for a piece of wood that would kind of coincide with what the graining is on the top. So he needs to cut this piece of wood down so it has something to make it stable. Now that he has it cut down to the size he needs, he's going to go ahead and router the edge to match what the piece of wood is on the top. So far, so good, but this is a raw piece of wood, so he needs to take some 220 sandpaper and sand it smooth. Now, even though he sanded it and he used the routing tool to make that same
kind of edge. He still needs to round over where he made that cut, especially the one on the top just has so much character from being touched and used and worn over time that he's trying to match that same feel, roundness up. Now, of course, we did not have to put a base on this, but they do sell better if you put a base and you make them a little bit more pleasing to the eye and usable. So, and he's actually going to he's pre-drilling some holes right now, but he's going to actually use some flathead screws to attach it to the board to give it really that old-timey, authentic look, which matches the top board. I think these general store wrappers sell better if you have paper, but the problem is they were old-timey. And I just reordered from one that I had previously, and as you'll see, it's not going to fit. It's going to be too long, and shoot. And I don't know, they don't necessarily come in a whole bunch of different sleeks. So luckily we had a dowel rod, but no, the paper itself is not going to fit. So I said to Chris, what do you think about cutting the paper down? Is that crazy or not? So now to make these pieces of wood really look like they have always been together, this wood is really dry, it's really raw, so he just misted it with some plain tap water, just room temperature. And now he's going to use some of the Waverly antiquing wax, which is a wonderful staining color for natural wood, especially when you're trying to match up that old-timey look. So he's just, as I said, he pre-wet the wood, have a little bit more control on there, and then he's just using Waverly to give it a good stain. Need to match it up just a little bit more. I think some black will do it. Give it that dirty look on top of the Waverly. No, I am not making over this bench, but it's not in the best, it's in good condition, but it's not in the best condition. So there's all these little things that we as resellers have to do to get an item to look its best for somebody to want to buy it. So I'm going to share my little secrets of what I do, other than first giving it a bath. But yes, it's got some of the finish that's off. It's got some scratches. It's got a few here and there, but I don't want to spend the time repainting because I really want to leave that detail for right now. Just something to make it look good. Well, it looks good, but it needs to look a little bit better to get it to resell. So the first thing I need to do is need to see where the damage or what damage there is, what fixes somebody else might have tried on this piece, if any. So Dawn dish soap, hot water, just like you were going to totally revamp and repaint the whole thing. I'm not going to be able to fix every imperfection, but I am going to hopefully make it look better than what it looks. There's lots of scratches and dings, and that just happens on older pieces. If it was really, really like I didn't think I could fix it, I might have painted the whole thing over, but I think I have some tips and tricks and touch-ups that I can share with you all, that you don't always have to paint the entire piece. I'm lucky enough to have a couple of those little rolling Craftsman, I think they're Craftsman, no, they're Black & Decker workbenches, to be able to raise a piece up that, oh, does that ever, that helps. Not having to have to bend over, because this bad boy is heavy. For us, the longer something sits out here in our shop and does not, you know, isn't major or fixes or anything, it just gets, you know, more dirt and more dirt on it. So if I can get it spruced up and get it into the booth, that's what I'm going to do. Oop, there might be some chew marks on there. I know there's lots of wear and tear at the feet area on this. Didn't see when I bought it at auction is all the gnarl marks. So I don't know if somebody had a puppy and they used it as a chew toy. Oh, shoot. So I might have to wait for it to dry to see, but yeah, that's not going to even out. And I can almost tell here and there, you can see somebody tried to do touch-ups on it. Like especially the arms. Like you can see where that shiny paint is and where that paint is. It's two different hues. So the original was probably a little bit glossy, and then somebody tried to touch it up with a matte. So it actually might take a little bit more work than I think it is. Yeah, right here you can see it too. And then right here. Now I gave $100 for this piece. So that's not acceptable for me to try to sell this for over $200 if it's been touched up. Yeah, like I said, I want to try to work around that. And I can see now that I have all the dust off, the same thing. They touched up with the wrong hue of paint or didn't finish it off with a... Yeah, so there's that. That's okay. Let's let it dry and see what it does. So I didn't necessarily see this at the auction, but I'm just going to go in and I'm going to fill some filler in it. We're doing more of a restoration than a makeover here, so. Okay, now that the putty is dry, I'm going to go in and start to sand it. Unfortunately, not a step I thought I was going to have to do. So I sprayed it with some shellac to fill this in. And now I'm going to go in very carefully with some DIY's little black dress and just see if I can touch up everything that has unfortunately been painted previously. And I'm just trying to do a really smooth paint job, so I'm dipping my brush into water. So it's not like I'm changing the color. I'm just trying to fix what has been done. And then you can see like where that has been. Just the two finishes don't match. And then by dipping it in the water, I'm getting a pretty smooth, because on a piece like this, if I was going to paint it all, I would take it outside or I would use a spray can of paint because of all the spindles. So one of the reasons I picked DIY paint is because I know it's going to look chalky and I'm going to be able to tell where I have been. So now can I take it from that chalky finish? Can I blend this all in? I'm hoping so. Okay, so now so I don't rub off that, I'm going to spray it in with some clear. I'm going to take some of the Jolie's black wax over what I've sprayed and then give it a nice finish and protected top coat.
So here's a question. Can I do this? I think that I can. So to blend it all in, I know it's going to look like it's covering that up, but once I wax off, I think it will not. Nope, it does not cover. It doesn't cover it up. I mean, it blends, but it's not covering it up. Now I'm going to use some of the Howard's Restore and Finish. And then we're just going to magically make some of these boo-boos disappear. It's amazing stuff. There was a scratch. Now I need to work on this, where it's all chippy paint. And I think my gold leaf rub and buff will do the job. So I just have it on a plate. And I think that will fix all those boo-boos. Might not be the same tone. It definitely looks like it's fixing all those marks up.
So no, this wasn't your normal paint something up, hide everything, give it a total new look. This was more of like salvaged, trying to restore items that others might have just thrown in the trash. Or I don't really know what they would have done with them, you know, especially that whole Howard piece and those little tchotchkes, the little Christmas ones. Luckily, the parts were still there. I mean, not the angel's little flowers petals. Oh, those would have been quite an adventure to try to glue back on if I could have found those. But anyway, give me a quick comment down below. Have I shared some tips with you? Star Bond, CA glue, I tell you. You buy, it's like comes in a starter pack, like there's a thick, a medium, and a thin. Be careful of the thin, it's really runny. And the sprayer, and it is a game changer. Throw your super glue away and use this stuff because there's no sitting there. I'm not saying you don't get it all over your fingers, but that dryer, that accelerator to dry it within 15 seconds is just a game changer of getting it to stay. And I've never had any problem like making it even, sanding it a little bit. If you feel like you need a little touch-up paint or whatever you can do, yes, they'll be sold as repaired pieces. That's just how it is, but at least the pieces are still there. So that's awesome. And then the Hitchcock... That would be Tater. If you heard the crash, that would be Tater getting into something. Gotta love that kitty. And now he's investigating what he just knocked over. But anyway, so yes, I think it's called a Hitchcock bench. So when I bought that at auction, it was a crowded auction. It was actually a 4-auctioneer auction. There was so much stuff, and most of the furniture I couldn't touch. But I know that I sell benches. So I'm like, I can pay up on a bench. I don't probably need to do anything other than some Howard's Restore and touch up those feet with some black wax, and it's all good. And then you get it into your shop light and you're like, oh, or somebody chewed on it. Oh, the marks on the feet are a little bit worse for wear. Oh, somebody tried to paint it over and do their own restoration. So that took like a different step into just sprucing it up a little bit to trying to preserve that painting that I can't match. And I'm pretty happy with it, I have to say. So there's that. And then like those paper, vintage general store paper rollers, they sell better if, one, you can put a base on them if you have a talented guy like Chris, or if you're talented yourself, I don't cut wood, and then put a base on it so it's not top heavy. In ordering paper off of Amazon, unfortunately, I thought like the last one I had ordered, it was like a general size. I was wrong. And I'm like, what could it hurt to cut the paper, Chris? What could it hurt? Okay, so it started to burn a little bit, but it gives it that old look. But at least there's paper. Yes, they do. So then you just increase your price with what you would be doing with the paper cost. That's just how much you paid for it, how much, that's the whole pricing thing that I don't really love to discuss. But anyway, so these were just restorations. These were just saving pieces from the garbage, just the way that I would fix things. When I put something in the booth, I wanted to have a certain standard. If it's supposed to be chippy, then it's supposed to be chippy. But if it's not supposed to be chippy, then, there's that, And, oh yeah, I almost forgot about the cat's tail. What did you think? It's funny, when I showed that in my haul video, I was positive. I didn't even myself notice that the cat didn't have a tail until all of a sudden I'm grouping all my black cats together for DECOR. And I'm like, oh, he doesn't have a tail. I didn't have a single viewer comment that poor kitty cat didn't have a tail. Well, but it was fun creating one. The wire helped. Luckily, I could have drilled into it if there was a problem. But yeah, I think it's like a paper mache underneath all that hard whatever it is. I don't even know what it's made out of. But the kitty's got a tail now, so I'm pretty happy about that. So give me a quick comment. Have I helped you out in any way? Yes, like I said, it wasn't one of my regular videos, but sometimes I get a lot of emails and messages and how would I do this? How would I fix this? Is this worth restoring? And if you even have that, that you think that it's worth restoring, then it's worth restoring, fixing somehow. That's the way I look at it. Always trust your gut. So again, thank you so much for watching today's video. And always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much for being supportive, giving us a quick comment, liking what we do. No, we are not perfect by any means, but we just tried to share our daily lives and how we would do things as resellers, or even adding it into our own home as decor pieces, trying to make it look the best that it possibly can. Because if y'all saw the swan video, that poor thing was a lot worse for wear. He was definitely restoration. So anyway, if you're new to the channel, and I don't always do restorations, I love anything that has to do with pre-love, secondhand finds, from shopping for it to painting it to decorate my own home with it. So give me a quick comment if you're new to the channel. Plus hit that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know we've uploaded a new video. And we will see you next time, guys. And you can see what I'm up to. You can see what we're up to. Bye. What was the noise? The noise was I have little boxes up here that have my little bitty favorite animals in it, but the window's open, so Tater had to get into that window. And these are my little German ones. I don't think he broke anything. He scared the bejeebies out of himself is what he did. Yes, all the stuff's up because we had our Roomba going. There you are. Did you knock something down, Tater? Are you apologizing? Probably not. He's a cat. I don't think they apologize. They just say, I am cute, Mom. That's all I know. I am cute. Can you put my stuff back on the ground?